There we go. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm up close and personal. I hit go live at 10 and then just saw a spinning circle forever and ever. So we had to reload. Good morning, Charlotte and Lori. Yay. And Jennifer and Travis. So glad you all could be here. So welcome to your Saturday practice. You made it to the end of the week, hopefully to good things. I know this week has been rough for a lot of humans, so hopefully it's come to a little bit of positivity at the end. If not, this is the space for that. So welcome to everyone joining us this morning. I hope you have your coffee, your tea, your beverage of choice next to your mat. If you've not practiced with me, I'm Jaime, and I'm super happy to be here with you this morning. I don't know about the rest of you, but this week has just been a little emotionally heavy for me. So this practice is a lot of dynamic movement, just a lot of movement to kind of get us out of our head and into our body a bit, but always with the option to skip things or just grab a blanket and drink your coffee and not do anything, or do more if that's what you're needing also. So just know that this is just us holding space for you and whatever you're needing this Saturday morning. And we'll go from there. So if you want to enjoy the playlist, the link is just up in the chat a bit. So go ahead and hit play on that. And then we're going to start laying down flat on our backs. And you all will get to see how well I balance not either kicking over my coffee or knocking over one of my plants this morning. We'll see how it goes. So just taking a moment to settle in, maybe letting the feet be set a little wider as you start to lay down, maybe letting the hands come out a little wider as well. And just starting to release and relax down into your mat. And as with all of our practices, just starting with that little bit of awareness, checking in with how your body's feeling, any areas that are feeling cranky or stuck or uncomfortable. Checking in with the breath and how it's moving in and out of the body, whether it feels really easy or if it feels like a bit of work to get that breath moving comfortably. And then just also checking in with the mind and the thoughts. Recognizing the things that you might have been dealing with or carrying this week. And just taking a moment to acknowledge all of that. It's all important, and you've been carrying those thoughts and feelings for reasons. So really taking stock of that, but then sorting out or identifying the things that maybe you can set down for at least the next hour that aren't going to serve you in your practice this morning. And as you start to settle in here, starting to bring a little more intention to the breath. Inhaling fully, filling up the belly with air. Exhaling fully, letting it all out. Just starting to settle into a rhythm and a movement in this breath that feels easy and comfortable, but also creates just a little bit of energy in the body, kind of like a little second cup of coffee, waking everything up. these last little moments before we start to add in some movement, just spending some time settling in on an intention or a focus that you need or want for your practice. I don't have a particular one in mind this morning. I mostly just want to kind of honor and hold space for whatever it is that you might be needing to settle into the mind and the heart as we move into this practice. With our next inhale, we're going to start to take those arms and reach them back behind, just getting really long through the body, maybe rolling out the wrists and the ankles, making fists with the hands, flaring the fingers out, scrunching the toes. And then we're going to bring the hands right back down by our sides. And I'm going to only do a half one so that I don't knock over everything that's to my left. But we're going to essentially make, I guess what they would be called carpet angels or whatever kind of flooring you have, since there's not snow inside your house, hopefully. So just taking the legs and the arms out to the side. Maybe those arms come all the way up and then bringing it back in towards the center. And we're going to do this just a couple times. Just saying hello to those shoulder and hip joints. And this can be super tiny movements, or it can be a little bit bigger. One more time with that snow angel shape. And bringing it back to center. We're going to start to hug the knees in towards the chest. And then keeping the knees hugged in towards the body, arms are just going to come back down to the side. So if you want to take them out wide, you can keep them just closer in towards the sides. We're just going to find a little movement with pressing the feet up towards the sky and then bending the knees, hugging them back in towards the chest. And we'll do this just a couple times, extending through the heels and then bending the knees. Finding that length and lift, and then settling back in. One more time, pressing those heels up, bending the knees. We're going to start to reach the arms straight up towards the sky here, and then start to extend the feet up as well. So this is our fainting goat, or whatever kind of furry creature you want to be that's fainted this morning. So we're going to find a little bit of opposite movements here. So as we bend the knees, arms are going to reach back behind us. And then as we bring hands back up, heels will reach back up as well. Just making your mind work a little here. Bending the knees, reaching back. Extending both up towards the sky. 2 more times just like that. Once more with that bend and reach. Kicking those feet back up towards the sky. We'll start to hug those knees in towards the chest. Arms can come out into that cactus arm shape or that T shape. And we're going to tap into the core a bit here. So we're going to get a little twisty, but not so much that we're coming all the way down to one side or the other. So we're going to drop the knees over to the right. You choose how far you want to take it, because we're going to bring them right back up to the center. Same thing other side. And then bringing it back. Starting to find this movement. So exhale takes the knees over to a side. Inhale brings the knees back to center. Keeping those shoulders and hands pressed down into the floor. And really isolating this movement to the core, lower body. One more time each side. Hugging the knees back in one more time here. Starting to find that forward and back movement. We're going to rock and roll all the way up and over into our table shape. So getting set up, wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips. We're going to take a couple rounds of our cat-cow here. I've managed to inchworm my way forward, so I'm going to adjust. So inhale, drops that belly, lifts the heart. Exhale, rounding the back, pressing away. Moving through these shapes a few times with your breath. We'll start to make those movements a little smaller as we start to settle back into our table shape. Crown of the head's reaching nice and long here. Spine is long. Belly button's hugging up towards the spine. We're going to send those right toes back behind us and then just press gently back through that heel, stretching that calf a bit. And then coming back to that kind of neutral space. We'll start to lift that foot up towards the sky. We're going to be a little exaggerated with these crunches, so you can kind of flare the back of it, kick that foot up a little higher you normally would, and then rounding the back, crunching it in. We'll move through this a couple times, finding that length through the heel, crunching it in. One more time, crunching it in towards the center. We're going to kick that foot back, leveling it out a bit here. We're going to start to bring that elbow or that knee up towards the right elbow, maybe just a little tap, and then kicking it back out. One more time, just like that. Knee to elbow, reaching it back out, and then that knee will come down to meet the other. Finding that nice strong tabletop. Same thing other side here. Left foot reaches back. Pressing that heel back as you stretch the calf out a bit here. Lengthening through that leg. And then coming back to that neutral space. And we'll start to float that foot up. And again, you can get a little over exaggerated with kicking that foot back behind you. We'll start to round the back, crunching it in, kicking it back out. Moving through this a couple times. Taking it at your own pace. One more crunch here. Lengthening back out. And then again, we're going to bring that knee up towards the left elbow, maybe a little tap, kicking it out. One more time, maybe that little tap, kicking it back out. Bringing that knee down to meet the other. So we're going to move through a few movements that we're familiar with, just in a little different sequence than normal. So we're going to find our cow shape, belly drops, heart lifts. Moving through our cat as we press those hips back towards the heels, child's pose. Inhale rolls back towards that cow shape. Exhale, as you start to round into cat, we're going to take those hips up and back, down dog. Bringing it back down, settling into cow. Rolling through cat all the way into our child's pose. Moving back forward, tucking those hips, or tucking those toes, lifting the hips, down dog. One more time, just like that. Knees drop, finding cow. Rolling through cat into your child's pose. Rolling back into that cow shape. And this time as we settle into that down dog, we're going to stay. So taking a few breaths here, maybe you bend into the knees, walk it out a little bit. Any little movements to wake up the body in this shape. We'll start to roll up onto the tiptoes with our inhale. Exhale sends heels down and back. Moving through this a couple times. You can keep with that movement, or for these next couple breaths, as you inhale, rolling forward to plank. Exhale takes hips up and back. One more time wherever you're at. We'll settle back into that down dog. Taking a nice deep bend to the knees, just taking a little stroll, feet to hands, hands to feet, coming into our forward fold. Nice deep bend to the knees. We'll start to slow roll all the way up. Once you're there, nice big reach, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to move through that one more time here. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to inhale, hands up towards the sky. Shifting weight into that left foot, right knee is coming up towards the chest. We're going to just pause here for a moment, say hello to standing on one foot. This is probably maybe the first time you've done this today. So just pausing here, finding that balance, giving yourself permission to fall if you need to, or if that's the way you're leaning. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to send that right foot back behind us, settling into our high lunge. I'm just taking a pause here, feeling solid in the feet, lengthening out through that back leg and that back heel. And you have the option to keep the hands reaching up. If your shoulders are just not feeling it today, you can bring hands to heart center. So either option here. We're going to start to find a little dynamic movement. So as we inhale, straightening that front knee, exhale, finds that bend. Really isolating the movement to that front knee. Feeling the power of that inner thigh, drawing that up to find that straightened leg, and then powering it back to that bent space. One more time, inhale to lift, bending that knee. So settling back into our high lunge, we're going to do similar kind of movement, but isolated to this back leg. So not really doing anything with this front leg except for a really strong foundation. We're going to start to bend that back knee and then pressing through the heel, straightening that back leg. So we don't want to be like doing a lot of this bobbing, really trying to isolate that movement. So finding that bend and then straightening it back out. One more time, just like that. Bend, kicking it back out. Hands are going to reach up towards the sky. We're going to take a little tilt or lean forward. And we're just sneaking that back foot forward. Hello, chair pose. Just for a moment, you choose what your chair looks like today. And then all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Or you can keep those arms reaching up towards the sky. Shifting weight to that right foot. Left knee's coming up. So again, taking a moment to pause here. Feeling that strength, that power through that standing leg. Checking in with the balance. And then we're going to send that foot back behind, stepping into our lunge. And again, pausing here, for a moment, settling into this high lunge shape. Same options, hands can stay at heart. You can reach hands to the sky. Whatever is most comfortable for you. And then we're going to start to get into that movement. Inhale to lift and straighten that front knee. Exhale finds that bend. A couple more times just like that. Using the power of that inner thigh to find that lift. One more time. Settling in here, and then bringing that focus to that back leg. So we'll find that bend in the knee, and then power through that heel to straighten the leg. A couple times here. We're just firing up those leg muscles this morning. Straightening that back knee, hands reach up. Finding that little momentum forward, bringing that back foot forward. Chair pose. Promise there's only a couple of these today. And then all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to bring that left knee up towards the chest. Again, finding that pause in this standing balance moment. And then we're going to send that foot back behind, stepping into our lunge. Arms are going to reach up towards the sky here. We're going to start to fold forward. Arms will reach back behind us. And then bringing them back forward, hands to the sky. So we're going to move this a couple times. The next 2 rounds, we're going to add a little something extra. So as we fold, arms reach back. As we start to bring hands to the sky, straightening that front knee. And then folding, finding that bend, flying the arms behind. One more time, just like that. Finding that lift and lengthen. Bending and folding. We'll keep that front knee bent. Arms coming right back up. And then we're going to drop that back heel, opening it up, warrior 2. I'll flip around to face everyone. So settling into our warrior 2 shape. Arms are reaching nice and long here. We're going to inhale and lift. Bending that knee, warrior 2. Moving through this 2 more times. Inhale to lift. Warrior 2, using that same inner thigh power to find that straighten and lift. And as you lower, we'll flip that front palm, finding our reverse. Staying here for a breath. Moving through warrior 2 into that extended side angle. Top arm can reach straight up. Maybe you reach it forward. Staying for a breath. Coming right back up, warrior 2. Inhale to lift, warrior 2. Flipping that front palm, finding our reverse. Coming forward, extended side angle. Coming right back up, warrior 2. Hands are going to come down around the foot. Any way you want to get there, stepping it back. Down dog. So you have 5 breaths, your choice. I didn't purposely write in any vinyasas to this practice. So if you are just really feeling called to move through that plank back bend option, you can. Or you just breathe in this down dog shape, or you can settle into table or child's pose. Just really honoring the space that you need this morning, whether that's more or less movement. Or maybe you find your coffee and take a little sip. We'll all come to meet in that down dog shape. If it makes sense, right foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. Coming up into that high lunge. We're sneaking that back foot forward. Hello, chair pose. Maybe you sit just a tiny bit deeper. And then all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, arms reach up. They can stay reaching, or you can bring hands to heart center, shifting weight to that left foot as you bring that right knee up towards the heart. Again, pausing here, settling into a little bit of stillness, balance. When you're ready, sending that foot back behind, stepping into that high lunge. Nice big reach. We're going to start to find that movement here. So as we start to fold and reach forward, arms fly back, coming right back up, hands to the sky. Folding forward. This time as we lift up, that front knee is going to straighten with us, finding that length. And then folding and bending. Finding that lift. Bending forward. That front knee will stay bent as we bring those hands back up. Dropping that back heel, opening it up, warrior two. Settling in here for a moment, feeling the power through the legs. With our inhale, we're going to lift and straighten that front knee. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale to lift. Warrior two. One more time, just like that. Finding that reverse. Pausing here for a full breath. Moving forward, extended side angle. Same options. That top arm can reach straight up, or you can reach it forward. Staying here for a full breath. Coming right back up, warrior two. Inhale to lift. Warrior two. Finding that reverse. Moving into that extended side angle. Coming back up, warrior two. Hands come down around the foot. Any way you want to get there, stepping it back, down dog. Same options if you want that vinyasa, it's there for you. Or you can hang out in your down dog, you can settle into table or child's pose. We'll come to meet in our down dog. If it makes sense, left foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. Coming up into that high lunge. And then we're sending that back foot forward, chair pose. I believe this is our last chair pose, so we're going to just breathe here for a couple breaths, which could be more than a couple breaths because we all know how yoga teachers count breaths. So if you need to get out, get out. If you feel like sitting lower, you can sit lower. And then all the way up. Exhale, hands, heart center. Settling in here for a moment. Eyes can close. Gaze maybe drifts towards the ground, the floor. Settling back into your breath. Settling back into that intention or focus that you set for your practice. Maybe doing a quick check-in with the body. See how it's feeling. Checking in on those areas that felt cranky or stuck. We'll start to blink the eyes open. Inhale, arms reach up. Folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Folding forward. Right leg is going to step back. Coming up into that high lunge shape. We're going to start to fold forward again. Arms fly back. And just pausing here for a breath. So heart is still pressing forward. We're not collapsing down onto that front thigh, but staying a little lifted here, almost like you could take flight, but everything is staying nice and grounded. We'll start to reach those arms back up, straightening that front knee, maybe Ving the arms out or looking up towards the sky, settling back into that high lunge. Hands are going to come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. Settling in here for a couple breaths. If it makes sense, left foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. Coming right back in to that high lunge shape. We're going to move through a little bit of dynamic movement here. So you have a couple options. If what we get into just feels like a lot, feel free to scale it back. You can also bring knee up towards the chest as opposed to where we're headed, if that is an easier, more comfortable movement for you. So staying up on those back toes, we're going to bring hands to heart center. Start to find a little momentum of the upper body forward, and we're going to bring that back knee right into the back of the front knee. So a little shiva squat, and then we're going to kick that foot right back out. We're going to move this a couple times. So again, if you would rather not do that, knee can come up towards the heart and then step it back. But if you like this squat version, just bringing that knee into the back of the front knee and then kicking it back out. One more time, just like that. Stepping it back. Arms reach up. We're going to plant that back heel, opening it up, warrior two. Inhale to lift, just pausing here for a moment, feeling that lift and lengthen, letting those legs stretch out a bit. Bringing it back, warrior two. Finding our reverse. Coming forward, extended side angle. Bringing it back, warrior two. Hands are going to come to heart. We're just going to turn those toes to face the right edge of your mat, making the feet parallel. Hands are going to come to the hips, and then we're just taking that fold forward. So once you're there, hands can come down to the mat. If you want more movement, you can bend into either knee, or you can just hang out, finding that stretch. If you want more of that kind of down dog type shape, you can walk the hands forward, keeping them about shoulder width, pressing into the ground, pressing those hips back. So it's kind of like a wide-legged down dog shape. Coming back to center here. Hands are going to come to the hips. Slowly coming all the way up. We'll just turn those front toes to face back towards the front. Warrior two. Hands are going to come down around the foot. And we're just going to step that back foot forward. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Stepping that left foot all the way back. Coming on up, high lunge. We're going to start to find that lean forward. Arms fly back. And then again, just settling into the pause or the stillness here. So crown of the head's reaching forward, still pressing actively through that back heel. Core is engaged. And then we'll bring it right back up. Maybe you straighten that front knee, V out the arms a little bit. Settling back in. Hands are going to come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. Just pausing here for a couple breaths. Stretching out the calves, maybe bend into the knees a little. And then if it makes sense, right foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. Coming up into that high lunge. So we're coming into those Shiva squats on the other side. So again, same option to just bring that knee up towards the heart and then send it back, or we'll find that momentum forward. Knee comes to back of knee and then step it right back. Moving at your own pace. Pausing when you need to pause. One more, wherever you're at. Sending it back. Dropping that back heel, opening it up. Warrior two. And then we're just going to straighten that front knee. Arms reach up. Feeling that length and lift. Letting everything release here. Settling back in, warrior two. Finding our reverse. Coming forward, extended side angle. Bringing it back, warrior two. Hands are going to come to heart again, turning those toes. We'll bring hands to the hips as we start to fold forward. So same options here. If you want that movement, you can bend into the knees from side to side. If you want that kind of down dog type stretch, walking those hands forward, pressing the hips back, or just hanging out. Really letting the upper body release if you're just hanging out. Letting the neck and the shoulders stay loose here. Walk the hands back into center. Bringing hands to the hips. Slowly rising all the way back up. And then just turning those right toes to face the front. Coming back into that warrior two. Hands come down around the foot. Just stepping that back foot forward. Forward fold. I'm letting everything hang out here. So maybe grabbing opposite elbows, nice deep bend to the knees, a little sway of the body side to side. We'll let those elbows go. With our inhale, reaching up, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands, heart center. We're going to walk the feet just slightly wider than the hips. So not all the way to the edges of your mat, just a little bit wider. And then we're going to come down, elbows on knees, into this kind of coach squat shape. So not really chair, but kind of like a chair. We're going to press the heart forward, belly drops. And then just pressing elbows into knees, rounding the spine a bit, finding that cat shape. And then moving into that cow shape. So we'll do this a couple times. One more time into that cat shape. Settling back into that neutral spine. We're going to start to send the left hand to the hip as you start to straighten that left knee any amount. So hand can stay on the hip if that feels happy, or you can reach that hand up towards the sky. If you want even more from this, maybe that right hand reaches down, fingertips to the ground, keeping that right knee bent. Pressing firmly into the big toes. And if the right hand is down, just bringing it back up, bringing that left hand elbow back to the knee, bending that left knee, settling into this neutral space. Same thing other side. So right hand's going to come to the hip as you start to straighten that right leg. You could stay here. This is happy. Or maybe that right arm reaches up towards the sky. And then if you want even more, the left hand can wiggle down towards the ground. And then we'll bring that left elbow back up, gently bringing it back to that neutral space. And then just folding over the legs, really rounding out the spine. Bending nice and deeply into the knees. And really slowly, we're going to roll all the way up to stand. Head is the last thing to stack. Once you're there, just wiggling those feet back in to hip width. We have one more little round of standing balance, and then we're gonna chill. So feet are planted nice and firmly. We're just gonna pause here for a moment. So hands come out to your sides, palms facing forward, little roll of the shoulders back, hearts pressing up towards the sky. Settling back into that easy rhythm of breath here. We're going to start to shift weight into that right foot. Left knee is going to start to come up. Been here before. And then we're taking that knee out to the side and then coming into your version of tree pose. So that can be kickstand, calf, or you can bring it up to the thigh. Hands can stay at your sides, or you can bring them to heart center. For our tree pose today, I just invite you to keep your limbs close to your trunk. This has been really grounding for me in my own practice lately. And so if it's something that you're needing just to feel a little more grounded, keeping the hands in towards the center of the body, that's an option. If you want your wacky and wild branches to grow, that's totally fine as well. But just settling in here, really bringing the focus and intention to the lower half of the body. So making sure to hug that right hip in towards the center of the body, feeling this little bit of battle between the standing leg and that foot kind of equally pressing into each other to create this sense of balance and strength. One more breath wherever you're at. And we'll start to bring that knee back to center, both feet on the ground, wiggling it out for a moment. And then we're just going to bring those hands right back down, settling back in to this stillness, to this power through the legs and the standing posture, feeling grounded and rooted. And then we'll start to shift weight into that left foot, right knee comes up. Taking that knee out to the side. And then again, settling into your version of tree pose, whether that's calf, kickstand, or thigh. Arms can stay or hands can come to heart center. Or you can find your version of branches today. But again, just bringing that focus, that awareness to that lower half of the body, that strong standing leg, hugging that left hip in towards the center. Feeling length through the crown of the head. Feeling surrounded and supported by all the other little yogi trees that are happening. One more breath wherever you're at. And then we'll start to bring that knee back to center, both feet on the ground. Wiggle it out a little bit. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Bending the knees a lot so hands can come down to the mat. We're going to step it all the way back into our plank. And then just dropping the knees. Heart pulls forward as we lower. And then once your belly's all the way down, we're going to bring forearms to the mat. So stacking elbows directly below the shoulders here, settling into this Sphinx pose. So we're going to set up a couple things here. Hands are firmly planted down into the mat. You want to make sure that shoulders are not too wide and that they're not too far back or too far forward. So you have to kind of find this happy medium, creating these nice strong columns of your arms from shoulder to elbow. And then feet are engaged. So tops of the feet are pressing down into the floor, big toe to pinky toe. And then finding that lift of the heart. And just settling in to breath here. One more breath. We'll start to turn those elbows out, just bringing the forehead down, maybe bending the knees, little shimmy shake of the hips, side to side. We'll bring the feet back down and just work those hands back by the ribs, Pressing through table and then all the way back into child's pose. Settling into this shape for just a couple breaths. Feeling those hips pulling back towards the heels. Allowing the forehead to come down to the mat. Maybe you stack the arms to help fill that space between forehead and mat. And then we'll just walk the hands back towards the hips. Swing the legs around. Putting a bend in the knees. And we're going to roll all the way down to our back. Once you're there, knees hug in. You can find a little movement, sway side to side here. We're going to bring feet down to the mat. Starting to hug that right knee in towards the chest. And then we'll move those hands to the back of the thigh. Press that right foot up towards the sky. A little bit of hamstring stretch here. Breathing in this shape. If it feels comfortable and you want a little deeper stretch, hands can start to walk up towards the calf, or maybe you start to reach for that big toe. My hamstrings are particularly tight today, so that will not be happening, and that's okay. Just finding the version of the stretch that feels right to you. We'll just bend in that knee, hugging it in towards the chest. And then we're just going to cross that right leg over the left, kind of like you're sitting in a chair. Arms can come out into that T shape or cactus arms. And then we're just dropping the legs over towards the left. I'm definitely just putting my foot right into a plant. So we'll shimmy that. Just really trying to settle in here. So shoulders are still pressing, melting down towards the floor. But feeling that little bit of stretch through the side body, through that outer hip space. Breathing into those areas that feel a little stuck. If it's comfortable in the neck, you can turn to look the opposite direction of the knees. Take just a couple more big breaths here. Maybe settling in any amount deeper. We'll start to bring those knees back to center, releasing that foot down to meet the other. We'll hug that left knee in towards the chest. And then when you're ready, moving hands to the back of the thigh and just pressing that foot up towards the sky, finding that length, that stretch through the hamstring. Make sure that the neck and shoulders are staying easy and loose here. We don't want to get kind of bound up trying to find this stretch. So keeping it easy. Same options as we're in this shape. Maybe those hands walk up to the calf or reach for the big toe. Choosing what you need to find the depth that's calling to you. Just hug that knee back in for a moment. And then finding that leg cross. Same options, that cactus arm shape or a T in the arms. And then we're just dropping those legs over towards the right. Ooh, little snap, crackle, pop moment. And again, just settling in here. So shoulders are melting. Finding that space through the side body. Maybe that head turns to look opposite of the knees. Just a couple more breaths on this side. Finding just a little more release or let go in those spaces that are still wanting to kind of hold on. Just gently bringing knees back to center, releasing that foot down. And one more time, hugging those knees in towards the chest. Maybe tucking the head up towards the knees, finding that little tiny ball shape. And then as you're ready, just settling into your version of Shavasana. Maybe letting those feet fall wide, arms come out. If you're wanting to feel a little more grounded, return inward, hand could come to heart, hand on the belly. And just start to settle back into that same space that we began our practice with. That awareness of the body, and the breath, and the mind. Checking back in with the areas that needed that extra love or attention. Checking back in with that intention or focus that you set for your practice. Were you able to honor that space for yourself today? And is that intention or space that you made for yourself something that can carry you into the rest of your weekend or into the next week? Just allowing it to maybe settle a little more deeply in the mind and the heart. And just starting to bring a little depth back to the breath. maybe little movements in fingers and toes. Taking your time, rolling to one side or the other, pausing there for as long as you need or want to. And then gently making your way to a comfortable seat. Eyes closed, hands at heart center. I want to thank you all so much for rolling out your mat and sharing this space and this practice with me this morning. The light within me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Awesome. Cheers, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today, starting your weekend with me on your mat. So just a couple quick announcements before you head off into your weekend, whatever that might hold. I don't know about the rest of you, but there's sunshine sort of trying to happen here. So hopefully going to enjoy some of that. But so if you've been participating, we have our February class challenge. I'm going to scooch up closer to the screen. Wonderful. Thank you, Summer. So glad you were here. Thanks, Melanie. So if you've been doing the class pass, hopefully you can see the little buddy. So we have it so you can keep track of the classes that you're taking, whether they're live stream or if you're watching the recorded ones that fit into your schedule. So once you hit 6, you get entered into win prizes, which is super cool. And then if you do 9, you get to second entry for those prizes. So it's still going on because February is still happening for at least a little while longer. So be sure to keep track of the classes you're taking with us. And then tomorrow at noon, we're opening registration for an outdoor winter yoga at Eola Legacy Estates. So they've opened up kind of a covered area with heaters for us for a week from Sunday that I'll be teaching. So registration will open for that tomorrow at noon. So keep an eye out for that as well. But just thank you all so much for being here and taking class with me this morning and just starting the weekend off with movement and breath. I'm glad you were here. Yay. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm glad that that was what you needed. Yay, Stacy. Yay. So glad. Perfect. Yay, Jennifer. Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Cheryl and Jerry. So glad you guys were here. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. And I'm sure I will see you via the live stream soon. Cheers all.